Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another session on exportation business. This remains Roxanne. So let's go further to look into how we can choose the price for our export products. Once you have put everything in place, the next thing is to start selling your products. But before you do that, you need to determine how much you will be selling your products. To arrive at the right price, you will need to first of all take an inventory of all you had to do to get your products and the final shipping to the buyers, and then you calculate your costs. Now make sure not to leave anything out of all you spent, all the export duties or even translation costs if you had to employ a translator, so you don't run at a loss. Now, you will then have to do a market research to see what price others are selling, what buyers are willing to pay, and also the rate of demand. Sometimes the demand might affect your price. A product on high demand will enjoy a higher price than one without much market demand. You might also have to match the prices of other sellers on the market if you have many competitors. This is because if you sell a lot higher than others, your buyers might walk away considering they have many options. So next, let's discuss on the activities you will be engaging with when you start your exportation business. The very first thing you will need to do is to prepare a massive mail campaign. Send letters to every prospective buyer. Write a letter introducing your company's goods and quality specification that you will package for export according to their requirements. And don't fail to quote the selling price and payment terms acceptable. The next thing you have to do is identify genuine buyers. You'll be receiving mails from intending new buyers, but you will need to ask them some relevant questions like their company registration details, their phone numbers, and office address. Ask them if they have an office or a relative in your country that you can deal with. You also need to ask them to give you the list of their customers in your country in case you are resident in Nigeria or Ghana or Cameroon or any country you're resident in. Ask them for the list of their customers in your country. This will allow you to know how genuine and reputable they are in the foodstuff importation industry. However, you need to agree on a particular payment pattern. The next thing is to deal with responses. A lot of response will be coming from some Nigerians and Africans, that your country citizens that are based in that country you are targeting to export from, example Canada, UK, etc. So a lot of response will be coming from there, from the citizens in that country that have operate African shops, because some of them are looking for foodstuff distributors back home. So you may need to send free samples to some of them while you make them choose the right packaging pattern for the products you are sending. The next thing is to deal with responses. A lot of response will be coming from some Africans that operate African shops in foreign countries, because some of them are looking for foodstuff distributors back home. So you may need to send free samples to some of them while you make them choose the right packaging pattern for the products you are sending. So right now on the screen are some major export destination countries. We have different export destinations for primary unprocessed agricultural products and semi-processed agricultural products. So just take time and go through the different destination countries on the screen. Let's go further to look into shipping of processed goods for mini exporters, and then we can move on to major exporters. So, shipping. Now, the delivery of these products to clients, irrespective of country or destination, is very simple. Once you receive an order, example in the UK, all you have to do after packaging is just to walk down to any of your preferred courier company, either NiPost or EMS or DHL or FedEx, etc., and pay the required fees, and your package will be delivered to the buyer's country within 1 to 7 days. Please know that the fee depends on the kilograms of the product and destination of the country. However, you can get to see these fees on their respective websites, that's shipping websites. So the shipping fee ranges from $5 to $10 per kg or above, depending on what you are sending and the destination, including the documentation. So even if you don't want to use those services, just take your goods to the airport and ask for NACO, that's NACHO. In fact, as you enter their gate, you will have seen many agents approaching you asking if you want to send something. So just talk to any of the agents and negotiate business. So go further to just pay the shipping fees. They will ship your products. The shipping company will take care of the rest. So let me give you some exporting agent contact that you can contact for export service. Is on the screen are some contacts that you can use for shipping. Let's move on to discuss on shipping for major exporters. For major exporters, the case is different. You need a CAC, which is a limited certificate, an export certificate, because if you're sending through the sea, the request for all your documents. To make your shipping process easy, you can use a freight forwarder. So let's briefly discuss on freight forwarding. Now, freight forwarding is a specialized firm and it performs the following functions on behalf of the exporter. 1. Advising on the best route to undertake and the relative shipping costs. 2. Booking the necessary space and containers with the shipping line. 3. Arranging with the exporter for packaging and subsequent marketing of the goods. 4. Consolidation shipments from different exporters. 5. Handling customs insurance abroad. 6. Arranging marine insurance for the shipment. 7. Preparing the export documents. 8. Arranging for transportation that will convey containers to and fro the stuffing warehouse back to the port of shipment. In other words, the freight forwarder, who in most cases is a custom broker, is the only is is in other words, the freight forwarder, who in most cases is a custom broker, is the one that actually tells an exporter the cost of shipping and insurance. But if you want to do the process yourself, then follow this procedure. Visit this website to start the journey, www.intra.com, and register. They will ask you different questions in their registration form, but there are things you can understand. So follow the information there for better understanding of the process. Let's go on. An exporter needs to learn how to ship and all other requirements for hitch-free transportation of the goods. The exporter is expected to know how to pack and label the product correctly, document properly, and ensure against any damage. Quite a number of exporters employ the services of freight forwarders to take care of all the logistics. So note on packing, a lot of products have been lost in transit due to poor packing. The major problems are usually moisture due to rain or humidity as a result of lack of ventilation, breakage due to piling up the goods together, or when moving them, weight and then theft. So you have to pack the goods right to avoid all these problems. Try to find the right materials to package your products to avoid moisture, breakage, and so it can take whatever weight will be piled on upon it. And also avoid labeling with brand or content name to avoid theft. The major problems are usually moisture due to rain or humidity as a result of lack of ventilation, breakage due to piling up the goods together or when moving them, weight, and then theft. So you have to pack the goods right to avoid all these problems. Try to find the right materials to package your products to avoid moisture, breakage, and so it can take whatever weight will be put on upon it. And also avoid labeling with brand or content name to avoid theft. So note that on labeling, although it is better not to label the products with the brand and content name, it is also expected to label the goods inside. The label will be known to the buyer as well so as to make it easy for them to identify the goods. So some of the major items to add to the label include the shipper's mark, country of origin, that's the exporter's country, the number of packages and size of cases in inches and centimeters, the weight marking, that's in pounds and in kilograms, the cautionary markings such as the side up or use no hooks. So in English and in the language of the country of destination. Now we have also other markings such as the handling marks, which is the international pictorial symbols, port of entry, labels of hazardous materials, which is the universal symbols, International Maritime Organization. The product shipping requires a number of documentation, which is majorly based on the requirements of both countries. So, the commercial invoice, which is a bill for the goods from the buyer to the seller, which includes the basic information about the transaction, such as a description of the goods, the address of the shipper and seller, and the delivery and payment terms. The invoice is usually a proof of ownership and to get paid, plus some governments use it to assess custom duties. Another is the bill of lading. We just discussed about the commercial invoice. Another document is the bill of lading. Now, these bill of ladings are contracts between the owner of the goods and the carrier, as with domestic shipping. Now, another is the consular invoice. This is another document. Now, certain nations require a consular invoice, which is used to control and identify goods. The invoice is purchased from the consulate of the country to which the goods are being shipped and is usually prepared in the language of that country. Another document is the certificate of origin. Now, this is simply the certificate indicating the origin of the product. Some nations require it and it can be gotten from the Chamber of Commerce. Another document is inspection certification. These are all the documents that you will be needing as a major exporter, so please kindly take note of them. Some buyers and countries may want a certificate of inspection conforming to the provisions of the product shipped. Inspection certifications are often performed by independent testing organizations. So another document is the dock receipt and warehouse receipt. These receipts are used to transfer accountability when the export item is moved by the domestic carrier to the port of embarking and left with the international carrier for export. Another document is the destination control statement. This statement appears on the commercial invoice, ocean, or airway bill of lading and SED to notify the carrier and all foreign parties that the item may be exported only to certain destinations. The next document is insurance certificate. If you provided insurance, the insurance certificate indicates the provisions of the insurance. And then talking about insurance, due to damage that could come with the goods, it is safe to insure the product. The local insurance might not cover the international shipment. However, the buyer or seller, depending on the term of sale, can apply for insurance with the international insurance carrier, or you could contact freight forwarders for more details. In summary, step-by-step procedure on how to export any African product. 1. The seller, which is a prospective exporter, incorporates company and subsequently registers business with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, which is NEPC. Secondly, the seller approaches bank and open a corporate domiciliary account, which could be USD, Euro, or in pounds, with which the company can repatriate export payments. Next, the seller gathers information as it concerns the source for the procurement of the commodity intended for export. And then next, the seller should try as much as possible to gather as per the export market requirements of the commodity for export. The seller must ensure that the product is available in large quantity such that it will meet the minimum order that could be requested by the buyer, which is the foreign importer. At this stage, the service of an export consultant or a facilitator or manager will be both invaluable and indispensable because of the pitfalls. It will save the new exporter from falling into any form of loss. So the seller embarks on a massive search for the buyer of the commodity in question. The search could be done online or offline. Next, the buyer and seller conclude an export contract with a secured and confirmed method of payment. The seller may investigate buyer's genuineness. Then the seller approaches the bank and opens NXP for the transaction. Seller approaches a reliable freight forwarder who advises on the best shipping line, routes, and any other documentation that may be relevant for the transaction. And then next, the seller consolidates with credible suppliers of the commodity intended for export to ensure timely delivery of commodity for export. And then upon arrival of goods, the freight forwarder arranges for transport and containerization of goods. The loaded container is dropped at the shipping terminal for subsequent shipment, and then upon sailing of carrier vessel, the shipping line issues seller with debit notes. Now the seller obtains bill of lading from the shipping line after payment of charges as indicated in the debit note, and then the seller goes further to deposit shipping documents with the receiving or collecting bank that subsequently sends them to the buyer's bank for remitting of export proceeds. Upon receipt of payment, the seller prepares for another export transaction, and that is all about the summary of the export and import procedure for large scale, that's major exporters. Now for mini exporters, this is a summary of the export and import procedure. 1. The seller and buyer conclude a sales contract with method of payment usually by letter of credit, documentary credit. Secondly, the buyer applies to his issuing bank, usually in the buyer's country, for letter of credit in favor of seller beneficiary. Thirdly, the issuing bank requests another bank, usually a correspondent bank in seller's country, to advise and usually to confirm the credit. And then the fourth step is that the advising bank, usually in the seller's country, forwards the letter of credit to seller, informing about the terms and conditions of credit. And then number 5, if the credit terms and conditions conform to the sales contract, the seller prepares goods and documentation and arranges delivery of goods to carrier. And then the next thing is that the seller presents documents evidencing the shipment and draft, which is a bill of exchange, to the paying, accepting, or negotiating bank named in the credit, which is the advising bank usually, or any bank willing to negotiate under the term of credit. So the next thing is that the bank examines the documents and drafts for compliance with credit terms. If compiled with, the bank will pay, accept, or negotiate. The eighth step is that the bank, if other than the issuing bank, sends the documents and drafts to the issuing bank. And then next, the bank examines the documents and drafts for compliance with credit terms. And if compiled with, the seller's draft is honored. So the documents released to buyer after payment or on other terms agreed between the bank and the buyer. And then the buyer surrenders the bill of lading to the carrier in case of ocean freight in exchange for the goods or the delivery order. We have come to the end of the exploitation masterclass, and I hope you enjoyed it. The exploitation um, process could look a little bit complex, but when you actually start the process, you know, of exporting, you discover that it's a very simple process. So take your time and rewatch the video again and again until you understand the process. Thank you for taking time to watch this class, watch this video. I remain Roxanne, and I would love to see you in my DM. So send a DM if you have questions, and I'll be glad to answer. Thank you.